Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, we'll be going over my day 2 CRL games. Yesterday I had to face Mohamed Light, but today I also had to face Samuel Basoto, one of the best players in the entire top 16 bracket which I was playing in. So it was the top 16 of us yesterday, but 4 people got eliminated, so at the start of today it was just the top 12 players and 4 more people had to get eliminated. I was playing a duel against Samuel. I decided to go in for Monk Drill game 1. I went for a bit of a weird drill. I was thinking maybe it could activate his King Tower. But luckily he played the Dark Prince. I was pretty certain he would place some type of unit that would prevent the Goblin from wandering to the King Tower. Very lucky for me that that happened. At this point I was already pretty sure he was running a Graveyard deck, which is a little bit of a hard matchup for Drill. People actually use Graveyard Dark Prince to snipe Goblin Drill. Just the Dark Prince is kind of impossible to break through, but I feel like the Monk did give me a bit more of a chance to win. Got a pretty nice Monk ability. I knew he would Graveyard, so I just played the Guards quickly. I didn't really need to poison because Guards are pretty spell resistant, don't die to arrows. Just went in for the Drill, and somehow my Firecracker actually wandered back to the right side. I thought it pushed itself to the left, but I think the Graveyard Skeleton somehow pulled it back, so got a beautiful Firecracker, and just honestly a really good start. I feel like that was quite a terrible Graveyard by him. I think this matchup is actually in his favor, even though I have the Monk, but not really sure. And guys, I wasn't able to commentate these games live. I was just trying my best to focus, but I did record them, and just now I'm gonna try to give you guys my thought process, as I usually do. So yeah, I didn't mind going same lane. Normally I like to go opposite lane in this type of matchup, but I feel like the Monk gives you a bit of a better chance, even if you do have to go same lane. I just popped the Monk ability. Notice how much damage the Monk abilities do to the Dagger Duchess when it has full ammo. Did like, I don't know how much damage, but it seems like over 200. But it definitely wasn't over yet because I could easily get poison cycled in this matchup. I couldn't really play my poisons on offense, but he could always cycle his and get some nice value. I made sure to go for my Firecrackers really high. I do not know what that Dark Prince was doing, to be honest with you. I feel like that should not have happened, but it did. Yeah, so he was just building up pushes here. I decided that my main goal would just be to try to Tesla spam. He was also starting to Tesla spam a little bit too, because if you spam your Teslas enough in this matchup, they can't really cross the bridge very easily without their stuff just getting shredded. And by the way guys, I was in the lower bracket, and I still am in the lower bracket, so if I lose a single more game, I'm just out of the tournament. But even though I'm in the lower bracket, I could still win the entire tournament if I don't lose a single another game. He went in for the Graveyard. This time I had to poison. Good thing I did because he also played his poison at the exact same time. Luckily the Evo Knight died pretty quickly. Evo Knight can be a bit of a struggle sometimes, but he still got so much damage somehow. I feel like the RNG may have just been pretty good for him. I decided to kind of switch lanes here, not really trying to get damage, but just simply trying to divert his attention so he couldn't stop my Firecracker. And I did that successfully, which basically gave me a free 200 damage on the right side, which is pretty important in this type of matchup where it's really a game of chip damage. Got a nice Monk here, and I just went for the ability right away. For some reason, he didn't activate his King Tower. I feel like he was just a little bit panicked. He's a very good player and very experienced too, but pretty much anyone can panic no matter how good they are, even if they're the best player in the game. I was remaining pretty calm because I'm quite confident with Goblin Drill. And I just knew that I could beat anyone in the game. That's my mindset. And it was working out pretty well. You know, I was up a lot at this point, just had to keep on spamming my Teslas, keep on trying to block the bridge nicely. Went for the Monk ability just to have it tank for a while and allow my units, my Tesla and Tower, just the time they needed to kill everything. Kind of a bad Phoenix by him. He went just for some Phoenix spam, but didn't really do anything against my Teslas. And yeah, at this point I knew I pretty much had it on lock unless something really dumb happened. He actually played a very bad Tesla. Both of my Teslas were shooting at it. And my Evo Cracker was getting dangerously close to targeting the tower. I actually got one Goblin stab somehow. I think that was Riley helping me out right there. Oh, and also guys, one thing I do want to tell you is that Riley beat me yesterday, but I could potentially face him again tomorrow. There could be a rematch. Not sure though. We're gonna have to see. Depends how things go, but there's a chance. Yeah, so he was always getting the Dark Princes on my drill. I don't even know how I got so much damage. Because I feel like this matchup, I wouldn't say it's bad for me, but it can't be that good. But yeah, I just really played calm. I feel like I played a bit more smoothly than he did overall, so I took the first game, and I was up 1-0. Samuel wasn't really playing anything, so I was just going to leak until double elixir, but he finally went for the firecracker. He only played, I think, a zap before this, so I thought he might have, I don't know, RG or something like that. I didn't think he would have Hog Rider since he was waiting so long, because if you play a Hog deck, you usually want to use your cards in single elixir. Then I saw the Giant Skelly, and I was pretty certain it would be an RG deck. Had to pump up. I could have went for the early healer, but I feel like if I did, he would have just went for a Fisherman to pull it, and then just would have got a really nice push going that I couldn't really stop. I knew he might go in here, so I had my barbs at the ready. And he actually had Goblin Giant. I knew he might have Fireball, but I was hoping he would go for it kind of late, but he got it pretty much right away, and at this point, I knew it was probably already game over. The Goblin Giant was getting way too much damage, so I just decided to try to Tornado it. Unfortunately, because of the dumb Giant Skeleton Bomb, the healer actually got moved, and then the Goblin Giant didn't activate my King Tower. But honestly, the NATO was still good, because if I didn't go for the NATO, my left side tower wouldn't have started shooting the Goblin Giant, and it would have just basically taken my whole tower. I decided to pump up once again. I was playing Golem after all, so even though I knew I was probably dead at this point, I was still thinking maybe there's a small chance I could win. Just went for the big Golem push. I knew that if I got a lot of healers down or something, something could happen. Got a pretty nice bomber lineup. I feel like the Inferno Dragon by him was pretty bad. Just give us a free E-Drag to, I don't know, just build up a push with. But the Evo Firecracker was so annoying. Luckily, okay, I was going to say luckily I killed it, but no, I actually wasn't able to kill it. Yeah, honestly, this matchup I feel like was just so bad for me. Not really sure what I could have done differently. Some people might say I shouldn't have pumped up early, but if I played the healer instead, I think it would have been even worse. So yeah, not really sure. Just a little bit of unfortunate interactions, if you ask me, and really just the Firecracker helped him out so much, and also he had Inferno Dragon. I did have healer, no, not healer, I mean I did have E-Drag, but he was able to usually just like Fireball zap it away or do whatever he had to do just to block it. I wasn't giving up yet though. I just went in for another Golem, and yeah, I was trying to just be prepared that he would go in and probably take my tower, but I knew if I could defend, I might have a small chance to somehow do something. Somehow make a comeback. Went for the E-Drag way up high, trying to chain on the Firecracker. Somehow it didn't reach though. I think the Firecracker pushed itself back right in time. And he just killed the E-Drag like that. Yeah, I feel like he had exactly the right cards he needed. If he didn't have, like, say the Firecracker in his deck, I feel like I would have probably had a pretty nice matchup here. Or if he didn't have Fireball, my barbs would get so much value. But yeah, you can't get good matchups all the time, you know, sometimes you just have to deal with it. And that's what I had to do here. Got a pretty good E-Drag actually. I was kind of coming back little by little somehow. But unfortunately the Evo Firecracker actually reached my tower. A little bit. I just had to pull it to the other lane, but at this point I already knew it was over. I think even if the Firecracker didn't hit my tower, it wouldn't have really mattered. That was a good game, 1-1. For the final game, I decided to play Royal Giant Recruits. This game was for everything. Whoever won this would not be eliminated, and they would move on and make the top 8. So I wasn't really sure what to expect out of Samuel. I knew he might play some type of beatdown deck, and when I saw the Bomber and Barbara, I was thinking, okay, it might be E-Giant, but it could also be some other random beatdown deck. And yeah, he had the bowler, so that pretty much confirmed it was going to be an E-Giant deck. I went for the Ghost on the opposite side just to try to divert his attention. I just wanted to kind of pressure and hopefully make him forget about the bowler. So I went in very aggressive for the RG, and I went for the Fisherman, trying to get the King Tower activation. And after I played the Barbell, I knew he had no elixir for a Tornado. Sometimes the Tornado to move your Fisherman so it doesn't activate your King Tower, but he wasn't able to. He had no elixir, so that really was a very big thing for me, and I knew it would help me out quite a bit in this match. And to be honest, I feel like this matchup should be good, but because I had the Recruits, it made it quite a bit worse, and I think it might have been his matchup. I'm not sure, though. The thing is, Recruits are basically a dead card in this deck, just slows down my cycle and kind of messes up my hand as well. Because if I play Recruits, what are they going to do? They're just going to go straight into a bowler and give him a free counter push, or they might just go straight into a Baby Dragon, and they just can't do anything. I went pretty aggressive here. You just have to be quite aggressive in this matchup, and I wasn't afraid to be a little bit more aggressive since my King Tower was up as well. Phoenix did go in front, but I didn't really care too much. Went for the very aggressive Lightning. I just knew I had to. And I knew he didn't have much DPS. See, E-Giant normally hard counters RG, but he didn't have very much DPS in his deck. He had a Mortar instead of something like a Cannon, so my RG's got a bit more value, and also he had Baby Dragon instead of something like a Phoenix, so he couldn't DPS down those RGs as easily. If he had Phoenix, I feel like that would just be unstoppable for me. And the thing is, I didn't really have any counters to his E-Giant. Yeah, he just finally played it. I had to go aggressive, didn't want him to make a huge push. I knew I had to switch lanes at this point. But yeah, if he went for an E-Giant push that was supported properly, I couldn't really do anything because I'd only have Fisherman, but he could just Tornado it into his E-Giant, so it wouldn't pull it very far at all. And he could just always Lightning it too if he had to. I knew the Goblins would distract the Fisherman for a second, and he was just able to Tornado it just like I was talking about. And he went for a second E-Giant at the bridge, very aggressive. Went for the Fisherman, but I knew the Barbara would distract it for some time, so I knew this would be some pretty heavy damage for him. Luckily, I was able to cycle back to the Barbara. Didn't quite reach the Evo Bomber, but honestly didn't really matter whatsoever. And at this point, he still didn't know that I had recruits, at least I don't think he did. I went for the Lightning here on the right side. I just knew I had to switch lanes. If you go same lane in this matchup, you're never going to win. I went for the Evo RG at the bridge just to make sure he couldn't go in for an E-Giant or something like that. I feel like the Dagger Duchess was actually quite helpful for him in this matchup. Normally Dagger Duchess isn't that good against RG, especially once you get to triple Elixir and you get some double RG pushes, but I could never really get an RG push with 2 RGs because if I did that, I would just have to build it up from the back, and then he could also build up his units and just get a very good counter push. Got a very nice Lightning here. Was kind of just awkward at this point, didn't really have too much to do, but I saw that his tower was very low on ammo, so I just decided to go in for another RG. See, I feel like what I did here is that I kept on applying pressure so he could never build up a huge E-Giant push like he wanted to. If I let him build up a big push, he definitely would just make something that I could never even dream of stopping. Went for the Barbell to kill the Evo Bomber. I still was trying to take advantage of the low tower ammo. I knew the Phoenix Egg might respawn. He was just barely able to get down the Barbell in time though, but his tower was still just not really doing almost anything. Dude, his tower was just not doing anything for like a whole minute straight. He kind of misplaced the mortar, allowing us to Lightning the tower, which was huge for me. He should have placed it one more tile to the opposite side, and that allowed me to get the 1 RG hit, which was just a huge thing for me. Finally showed the recruits here. I knew I couldn't just rely on a Fisherman alone to take out the Electro Giant. And honestly, I really do feel like he had a pretty solid matchup here, but I was just playing super well. And honestly, just the King Tower activation alone really helped me out in this matchup. He was getting kind of nervous. He misplaced the Bomber, or just went for it kind of badly, so my Fisherman was able to pull it and get rid of it very quickly. Just went for the Evo RG here to block the Mortar. I didn't realize the Bowler had 1 HP, so I had to late Fisherman. Thought it would go on the Mortar, but luckily it actually didn't. And here I just had to DPS down the E-Giant as quickly as I could. I knew if I took too much damage, he could still come back, so I went for the Fisherman too. He went for the Lightning, but he only got 1 E-Giant zap, so I knew that I had the game, and that secured me a position in the top 8, so now I'll be moving on to day 3. Before we close it out, I just want to say thank you, God, for being with me today. Just because God is with you doesn't mean you're always going to win, but today we had a great day. One thing I love to do is before my competitions, I like to read a little bit of holy text just to set the energy right. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!